EM wave change. Cursed raccoon on the air. Sonic Amata. My name is Sage Blake. I'm a wanderer, storyteller, artist immature, and the most experience I have with Syobon is actually, like... Okay, I played the original, but I only, like, played the first 2 levels. I make no guarantees for actually being decent at this game. I'll at least give it my damnedest to make some semblance of progress. That's just typical of me. That pick is safe. If I remember correctly, need to go above here. Because those are all just breakaway platforms. And of course, I fall for the next set of breakaway platforms! But progress is still progress. Same trap twice in a row. It's like I don't learn. But for those unfamiliar, Syobon Action is a trapformer. What does that mean? Well, as you think. The world is out to kill you, and it's up to you to make sense of that murderous fuck. That murderous fuck world. How dare it decide to murder an adorable little kitty? Yes, yes. Accurate. Trapformers are a subgenre of platformer-type game. Ring. Where your goal isn't necessarily just to make it to the end, but to survive a murderous obstacle course along the way. Other well-known trapformers include, but aren't limited to, I Wanna Be the Guy, fuck, I Wanna Be the Guy, slash Gaiden, slash everything else in between there. Ares Action is another one that comes to mind. And on Steam, there are also a couple games called Bloody Trapland, which are trapformers that support multiplayer. And I forgot the cloud existed! Trapformers tend to get a bad rap, specifically for how they end up placing obstacles, and that is because they try to assess where players are going to go, and gimmick them. If you don't play a trapformer carefully, then, well, there's your first couple of problems right there. These games are platformers, sure, but they're not meant to be slow, they're not meant to be fast and semi-reckless games to play. They're meant to be very meticulous and careful. To the point that it actually fits a little too well with my mission statement of logic, reason, failure. Because more often than not, the traps that appear are ones that you would only be able to predict if you have seen them the first time around. Case in point. I tried to dodge that one, but unfortunately I messed up. That specific trap, you're meant to fly over the top of the... Right, God. You're meant to fly over the top of the flagpole, something that you could normally do in the original Mario. But here it's actually presented as something mandatory that you need to do. And that's the thing with some of these trapformers, especially if they're based around games that already exist, such as the Kaizo line for Kaizo Mario or Kaizo Sonic. More often than not, they do take advantage of original mechanics that were in the game and meant to be used by experts or speedrunners or glitch finders, period. As for the reason why Syobon Nostalg is appearing as its own separate episode... Shit, not again. its own separate episode as opposed to, say, how I was doing things last week? A couple of reasons. Okay, maybe 3. 1, I tried to play this game by itself to do recording, and I found out very quickly, you know what, maybe it's just better for me to play this in a live format, like the stream. If people drop in, they may be interested, I can talk with them, etc, etc. Not to mention that Syobon Nostalg is a game that may take a while, too. Learning all the various traps and how to counter them isn't necessarily an easy thing to do. Right, I need to bait the beam. That was close. And most importantly, I did make a promise to SGM, the creator of this remake / reimagining. And I don't take that type of thing lightly. Shit. That's a death. But yeah, like, trapformers, to an extent, fascinate me. And part of the reason on that is specifically because of my major. I happen to be a psych major. Well, ex-psych major, since I've graduated, like, 2 years ago, but that's besides the point. Psychology is my forte, and as a result, so too is the process of creating behaviors and learning. I'll try to avoid as much of the jargon as possible because it tends to be a very difficult to explain and difficult to understand subject. My point being, the process of how people learn and figure things out is fascinating. And trapformers are of the type of game that forces you to learn in a small amount of time. Otherwise, you will not be able to make progress. And I do understand that in some cases, people don't exactly like having to learn. Okay, let me try that again. An enemy has a point. Not so much that people don't want to learn, but crap. Ah, come on! Not so much that people don't want to learn, as some people just want to be able to get into the game and like the game and understand the game immediately, but don't necessarily recognize that every game has a learning curve. It's just that some are more subtle than others. Another item that also takes people off of trapformers is specifically how it asks you to learn how things work through failure, and many people don't exactly like failing repeatedly in order to make progress. I understand that. But at the same rate, life is just one of those things where if you're not failing, you're not learning properly, if that makes sense. It's why I kind of excel at these types of games, because I'm a very patient player. I'm not afraid of landing face first into issues. Case in point. I do recognize, though, that this is going to be a bitch and a half to edit on my end when it comes around to it. But that's just the nature of trapformers. Again, they're games where you're meant to fail, and failure is acceptable. If not required. You son of... it's fine. This was also a nice design choice on the creator's part. In the original Syobon, this block to the left of me right here would also be a breakaway block. having that be a safe block essentially rewards people for trying to do a little bit out of the norm, and also helps people recognize that, provided they make A input, this game isn't as unforgiving as people make it out to be. The challenges presented are fair and, in many ways, balanced. They may look cheap, sure, and in some cases they are very much gacha traps. But that isn't always the case, if that makes sense. More often than not, these traps can easily be avoided by playing carefully. Oh. That's not working correctly. Okay, so how that's supposed to work is the shell knocks into that block and ricochets in the opposite direction. But potentially due to the engine that this is being made within, it's not doing that. Not touching that mushroom. I know exactly what it does, and it's going to be necessary for a mechanic later. Oops! Case in point, that's how the shell is supposed to work. Oh my... But yeah, me as a gamer, I am not afraid of learning, I am very patient, I'm very careful. I'm also, ironically, pretty reckless too, so... It kind of ends up being one of those things where I'm not afraid of busting my hide over trying to learn a new mechanic. Whoop! Good. And there's the checkpoint. Alright, this challenge. In the original Syobon, and also in here as well, that's gonna suck. Huh, that's stuck. Normally that's just supposed to bounce eternally in there and be a death trap. Noted. Right, in the original Syobon, this block right here contains a mushroom that is necessary to create progress. It grows the enemy, allows them to break bricks, and allows you to get across. You need to time out when you have the enemy eat the mushroom. Also, don't get that circle right there. That green question mark bubble will create an infinite spout of fire from this pipe. Also, don't try to go the upper path here, because that ends up being a dead run. It's impossible to make it out of that, and it's impossible to actually use what is normally supposed to be the warp out. Okay, good. I dodged that game, come on! I jumped there, game, come on! In terms of the mechanics of this game, it's relatively simple. And at that, also for trapformers, period. Oh, fuck! You have buttons to move, a single button to jump. Some games like Ares Action or I Want to Be the Guy give you a secondary function as well, such as shoot or pick up things. Syobon, being one of the very first, doesn't do that. Good. Two, one. Good. Now I can make it. Clever gotcha trap with that enemy. And if I remember correctly, jump over this pole. In the original Syobon, this used to be a gotcha trap, where you would have to bounce on the fake pole to the opposite side of the real one, and then cling onto the real one with good timing, after despawning the fake pole. Nostalg changes that, so it isn't as much of a gotcha trap, and you just need to leap over the trap pole to the real one. It's a good design choice. Also, fire flowers are hot. Don't touch them. Also, don't touch that! And if I remember correctly... I could have sworn you were able to get up there, but okay. You! I mean, I should have figured. I could have sworn there was like an invisible block around that I could use to help traverse that. I could be wrong. Maybe while I'm up on this platform, something to gimmick with. Actually, no, wait, I can't get up there. That might lead to something important. Because I do see this orphan block over to the right. No. There's something I'm missing off this platform. No. So... I have a terrible idea. And it takes the form of grabbing that. Thinking that it might be important to solidify this platform. No, not really. I don't remember how you get through this stage. Like, I've seen bits and pieces of the others, but that was years back. So what little knowledge I do have is kinda gone. I might just look it up specifically so I can make progress. Capitalism how? Right, that's another thing. I don't remember if there was a pause button. But I did speak with the creator on Discord, and they at least wanted me to check out the bonus levels for a little bit. So, sure. Because the original Syobon was only 5 levels long. Nostalg doesn't just redo those 5 levels, but also makes a few more on top of that. Nice! Now I'm kinda curious if my hypernoia here was warranted or not. Oh my god! It actually was! I can't believe it! My hypernoia actually detected a trap before it could go up! That's amazing! Figured I'd check that, just in case. Ghosts are permanent hazards. Makes sense. Get out of the way of that. I could see this particular bit being incredibly jerkish by having invisible blocks, like, right there at the passageway. Glad there isn't. Huzzah! Oh no. These rooms sometimes are so confusing, but everyone has... Wait, what? Everyone has the exit of this... Oh, it has the exit of this nightmare. Just take care to not fail too many times in the same room. Okay. That's interesting. But guess who's gonna ignore that? Guess who can't ignore that? And god damn it, somehow I accidentally reset my progress. Oops. There's something that I mentioned, press shift to come back here. Okay, so just don't hit shift. Noted.